Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So let me share my screen so that okay, can you hear me? Hello someone, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Hi Lucy, good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you Sandra. So we're going to begin with a recap of what we have been doing. So we began by learning how to create a database, and we said that in this database, that's why we are going to be creating now tables, because we said a database is an arrangement for data that is stored in an arranged manner, and they can be easily accessed and managed. Yeah. So, and in most cases we are going to be having tables, different tables that are related. Yeah, so we did that. We created tables, different of them. We also learned how to add conditions, in this case such as rather that rules, not conditions, they're called rules or constraints. So we learned to add them, yeah, just in case you want to have a specific type of data entered into that table. Yeah, so we learned also how to key in values into our entries into a table we created, and so on. So that's where we stopped in our previous class on how to insert data. Yeah, how to insert data into a created table with or without conditions, or with or without constraints that are abided with the same table. So on our today's class, we're going to be learning something else known as the ER diagram. Yeah, okay, just a minute. I share someone who want to join the class a link. Just a minute. So let me just open the SQL document that contains what we're supposed to cover on our today's session. So we're going to be working on something called ER diagram. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be working on today. On that note, I didn't share the database. Okay, just give me a minute. I don't know whether I should stop sharing or just continue. Let me share with you a database that we're going to be using. Just check on your email. Uploading a document in a few. So the videos that have been recorded will be uploaded later, so no worries. They're going to be uploaded to the company's YouTube link, and then the links will be shared. So also I haven't shared lesson 2, so let me do that. I'm going to be attaching 2 documents. One is the database and lesson 2. Also I can also share lesson 3. But let me start with the database. So I want to share the database that we're supposed to use today. It's called employees. It's an SQL database. Okay, let me check on somewhere. SQL. Just a minute. Yeah, so let me open that. I don't know how long it will take. I should have shared this earlier. So I'm sharing a database that you're supposed to use today. Sorry, I didn't remember to upload it as soon as possible. So we're supposed to use this. As it uploads, let me just take you through what it's supposed to cover. So we're going to be working on ER diagram, and an ER diagram is, ER stands for entity relationship. Yeah, so an entity relationship model describes the structure of a database with the help of a diagram known as entity relationship diagram. So we're going to be coming up with an entity relationship diagram, but it's going to have so I'm shared the okay, just let me know if you're able to access the database. Don't open it, just download it. Don't open it, just download it. Yeah, so I'll share the other documents later. So as I was saying, just in case you don't receive the database that I've shared, let me know. So we're saying the entity relationship model describes the structure of a database with the help of an ER diagram known with a diagram known as entity relationship diagram. Yeah, so we're going to be looking up into an ER diagram, but also we're going to have the entity relationship model. They work hand in hand. So the AR diagram, the entity relationship model represents a real entity and the relationship between them. When talk about a real entity is when you talk about, let's say, about an institution. Yeah, we are talking about an institution and we want to store data about students. Yeah, then we have lecturers. Yeah, we have co-curriculum activities and so on, anything that will be related into this institution. So then apart from the entity, we say that an ER diagram is a diagram that displays the relationship of entity cells stored in the database. It contains different tables, such as you can come up across a rectangle and represent an entity. Yeah, for example, let me talk about a student. So this as an entity is an object in the real world with independent existence, so you can store data about it. Yeah, so we have student. Then we have the attributes, the oval. It represents attributes. Attributes, you said, are characteristics. So I've said about a student. When you talk about attributes, we talk about something, things such as their names, the student's name, their age, yeah, the major they are taking, and so on. Lastly, we're having the relationship, yeah, which is represented by this shape here. When you talk about a relationship, we're going to be talking about different relationship. I remember I mentioned about a bit of relationship in our Tableau class, and said that we're going to understand it better in our today's class. Yeah, in our next session. I don't know whether you hear the background noise. Let me just use the earphones. Just let me know whether I'm clear and loud. So just a minute. Hello. Hello, Kevin. Can you hear me? you. So I shared the database. I haven't had someone confirm they received it or they haven't received it, so I'm still waiting for the feedback. So once you've downloaded the document, just let me know so that I don't move forward when you're not having the data, and in that case you're going to be using the same. So that's on the relationship. Okay. So we're having the ER diagram continuation here, and we see that to create an ER diagram of a database in MySQL, this is how we're going to do. First, you make sure you have a database. So I've shared the database, and I've mentioned that you are not supposed to open it. Yeah, you know, when you have a document, you double click and it opens. One reason you're not supposed to open the document, it will connect to SQL, yes, but it will be unconnected. Let me show you how. So I'll just go to where the document is and then double click on it. So anytime you're having an SQL database, anytime make sure you don't double click on it for this reason. So I'm having the database here, employee. So if I double click on it, it's going to open, but there's one thing you'll note. So I'm double clicking on it. My SQL is open, of course. So here is the database, but it didn't open in the root connection that I'm using. It opened all by itself unconnected. On that note, no tab that is active, so you can't run this database, you can't work with it, you can do nothing with it. So don't open the database by double clicking, because it will be an unconnected type of database and you can't work with it. So I'll close and show you how we are going to open it. So I'm just hoping that we all have the database. So in our first class on our yes, good evening. Okay, don't open it. Let me know the process, the steps you're about to go, whether it will open or you still have the same issue. Yeah, so because you have said you're not supposed to open, so let's see what happens. So the first class when you are going through the interface of SQL, I mentioned on how to open an SQL tab and how to open an SQL script, and I also said an SQL script is an already existing R script. For example, query 1 here, if you save this, it will be an SQL script. So to open it, I won't open it as a SQL tab because it already exists. I'll open it as an SQL script. So to open it, you can either, these are the three ways to open an already existing SQL document. You click on file, you'll see an option for open SQL script. It should take you to your computer to locate your database. That's one. Two, you can use our second command here. Remember the first under the shortcut commands, we have the first for opening or for creating a new SQL tab, but we want to open an already existing one, so we're using the second option for open an SQL script file. The last option is on our area here where we're having our commands. We have a save button here, but before that we have a folder like icon. Yeah, the same is for opening an SQL script file, so you can use either. So let's use this command here, shortcut, where we have open SQL script file. Yeah, so I'll click on that and then locate the document. So where you have downloaded it, where it have gone, that's where we are supposed to open it. So you locate it into the computer, then you select on it, then you click open. I'll do that once more. You go to open SQL script file, click on it. on the computer, you locate where your document is. Then once you've located it, you're supposed to click on it. Let me check on mine here. So here's the database. So I'll click on it and then open. So I'll just click on open, and it should open in my SQL, in a new SQL query tab. So while we Kevin, has it opened, or you're having the same issue? Oh, it couldn't download. Okay, anybody else having the same error? Someone who couldn't manage to download? Okay, I just hope you managed to download. Okay, let me do this. Let me try and reshare it with you. I'm not sure when let me just do this. I have a list of emails somehow. So Kevin, what is your email? Okay, so let me just attach it, and I hope this problem is solved. Okay, we're just going to give it time, but for the rest, I'm just hoping we're having the database and we are able to download it into our computers. So, and you have also managed to open it as an SQL script and not an SQL, not by double clicking on it, because it already exists as an SQL file. It will open, but you'll have a limitation to running the codes or doing any necessary analysis that you want to run on the database. So make sure you're able to open it as an SQL script. This is almost done, so that I got to double check like a second. It's sent. You can let me know whether you are able to open it. Yeah, whether you're able to download it rather. So we've managed to open the document by going to our file script area here, open file SQL script file. You click on it, you locate the database in the computer, then you open it. What we're having here, these are comments. Remember how we want to write comments in SQL? We said use 2 sign, then use space, so that it becomes a comment for a single sentence. If you want multiple comments, not multiple, you want a comment for more than one line, you use the slash and asterisk, and then you close with an asterisk and a slash, so that anything that follows becomes a command. So this is a sample employee database. Yeah, it was created. Of course, it has a disclaimer because it's someone's database. Then we have the command starts here. Why are we having the first line of command? The reason for drop database if exists, it's because you can't have two databases that have the same name. Yeah, remember we said if each database should have a unique name, so we are dropping it. To drop is to delete, so we are dropping the database if it exists. The name is employees. Then we are going ahead and creating now. We are creating database if it does not exist. And the most important function is use employees. The use functions, we say it's select. For in our case, you can see in our schema, we are having sys is the one that is bold. If you compare this between these commands, you can see sys is bold. That means if I run a command, it will be executed on the sys schema. Yeah, so we use the function use so that we are no longer on sys, but now we'll be using the employee database. Yeah, then we have the creating information here. We have drop tables. If these tables exist, they are going to be dropped. Yeah, if they exist, in our case I guess we had a number in class area. If they exist, they're going to be dropped. Then we have the create table here. Once the database is created and everything is okay, we go ahead and creating a table. So we have the command create table. This table contains employee number, birth date. We have first name, last name, gender, hire date. And on that note, we have a constraint that our employee number is a primary key. Yeah, all this should not be null. Remember, we see how to use not null. You don't want that column to be empty. The second is create department, where we are having the department number, department name, and we are having primary key is the department number, and also the department name should be unique. Yeah, remember each department has its own name. That's why we're having it as a unique key. That's another constraint. Yeah, then we have a table called department manager with employee number. We have department number from date and to date. Then we have a key, not one but two, foreign key. So we have foreign key, that's employee number. It's coming from the first table, employee table, so it references employee table. Yeah, we have in foreign key, department number, it references to the department table. This is where it's coming from. And if you go back to the department table, for example, you realize that the foreign key here is a primary key for the department table. The same for the employee table. We have the department employee, the same. It has all the entries. We have the titles table, also have a foreign key that's from the employees table. We have a foreign key employee number from employees table. Yeah, the reason is because employee number is a unique number that references to each of the employee in a company. Yeah, so it's the most unique variable that's used. Yeah, okay, thank you, Kevin. So we are just going through the data set itself. Once the tables are created, yeah, once the tables are created, we are having the insert section. And the insert section, that's where a lot of work is done. In fact, if you're at the administration department, because that's where the database are created, apart from maybe someone who is doing the analysis, they are going to be given already created database. But for someone in the department, in the administration section, and especially for a beginning or in the department area, whereby they are beginning to a new department, yeah, or a beginning company, and they need to create the database. This is a lot of work that are going to be doing, because we have to insert. For example, we are inserting into employees, and the values we are inserting is employee number. We have hire date, their first name, last name, gender, and so on for all these people. So you can see it's a lot of work which should be keenly done, and with time it will be done. So we have a number, a huge number of list entries as we're going to be seeing here. So we have entries for all the tables, for employees, department, titles tables. Yeah, all these tables are included here, and all of them have entries. Yeah, all of them have entries, all the tables. So once that's done, so this is what we're going to be doing. Remember, we opened this document and it is not run yet. So we cannot run using the second command, because the second command we said runs one line, and because we want to run everything with this within this document, we're going to use the first execute button. Yeah, because we are starting from creating a table here, dropping a database, creating one, creating the tables, inserting the data, the database involved. So what you're going to run, you execute using this second command. So just run that. So I click here. Yes. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, let me talk about that later. I'll mention about it before we end the class. Yeah, just run. Yes, you can run the command so that it will take time, so that if you are, when you're asking the question, it's running. Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, I've seen a number of converters that are used to convert any type of data into a database, but in quotes, when you're using them, you can just look at them online. There are platforms whereby you just convert data sets from one type of data to database, which is very sensitive, because you end up maybe probably losing the data, the organization of the data, at the same it's prior to errors. Yeah. Another thing, for example, if we talk about a company like, let's say, KCB Bank, those people right now, they are not creating databases. The database was created way earlier when the company was beginning. So what's happening now for the person who is on that seat is that they edit, because there are new employees coming, there are new investors coming. So what they do is update the table. Unless for a new upcoming company, that's where they begin to creating the table. Otherwise, in already existing companies, they have already existing database of which they are editing, unless there is let's say a department that wasn't there in it have been brought up. So you have to create the table, of course, and then link up with the already existing tables. Yeah. So I hope you are able to run the analysis. It should be successful down here. So let me see, I'm having two results. Info, creating database structure, one of the command in there, and then we have storage building, database. So the command, I can see they are successful, all of them, unless there is a warning. For example, you can see we have can't drop database employee, database does not exist. So it's not a fail, but a warning. I bet you have experienced this in our previous class. So our database is successfully executed. So it takes sometimes some minutes, so you just need to be patient. So let me just close the results area. You just need to be patient, and your output will be created. So the next thing, as we earlier said, we refresh the schema, because in the schema you can see we have class, and we also have this is, yeah, but we can't see the database we just created. Yeah. So to do that, as I mentioned, we're supposed to refresh the schema. Either you can use the motion like icon here, or you just right click and refresh all. Either you're going to be you're supposed to be able to see the databases available here. Yeah, so that's on the database. I hope we have been able to run that. So then after that, we are supposed to be able to go ahead and use now this database. We're going to be using this database all through our commands in most of our cases. So before I leave this page, I want just to give a little explanation on the previous question asked. So on this command, that's why I haven't left here. So for example, this key, foreign key, is a column that's coming from another table. That's why it's referencing the previous table where we are having employees. This is the column. So this is the column that have been used in most of the cases as the foreign key. So the purpose of this command is, if this column is deleted, remember the table will still be referencing on the same. So what happens if it says to delete on cascade? If this column is deleted, then the foreign key also will not be effective to the table data, for example, department manager or any other table that have employee number as their references. So that's why it's put like that, so that on the other hand, remember, if you create a table, for example, a foreign key, and it doesn't exist, what tells you, the command gets an error, for example an X here, and tells you that the column or the database table and then column does not exist. Yeah, so if it does not exist, then the command can't run. So that you don't have effects on any of the tables that follows that references to the first table, that's why we have that command, so that if this is deleted, then none of the other table will be affected with the delete of this column. I hope I answered your question, Matthias. Okay, let me just add a new SQL file. Yeah, tab in this case. So I'll just click on our first command, and I have a new SQL file. So this is where we're going to be working on today's session. And before that, we're talking about the ER diagram, and we have said an ER diagram is used when you're working with the ER model. So we have ER diagram and an ER model, and we have said an ER. We have said ER is for entity relationship. Model is used to describe its structure by the help of the ER diagram. So in SQL, how do we come up with the ER diagram that we want to work with? Yeah, so we're going to come here where we're having our area tab, our menu tab. We have file, edit, we have query, and then database. So you click on database, you'll see a number of commands. We have connect to database, manage connection, reverse engineer. So you're going to be using this reverse engineer to just see the structure of our table, our tables within, and how they are associated with each and every one of it. Yeah, so I'll click on reverse engine. There's a pop-up window that opens. I hope it's visible. And with our pop-up here, we're supposed to work on a number of things. Yeah, we're supposed to work on a number of things. One is where we are having stored connection. Make sure the stored connection name here is your connection that you're working on. For example, I have home and then my connection is root. Yeah, so my connection should be root because that's what I'm working on. In this case, I'm having local because I have local instance, then root. So I'm going to choose root because that's the connection that I'm currently at. Yeah, then we have connection method. Just leave it as default, and then you click next down here. The execution complete successfully. So once this is finished, it will be quick. Yes. Okay, you go to database. So let me close this. So you go to database where we're having our tabs menu tab. We have file, edit, view, query, then database. You click on database, then you click on reverse engineer. You click on it. Then you make sure the stored connection, which is one of the commands, not on our side here, but we have set parameter for connecting to the database. You make sure the stored connection name is as your connection which you opened, where your databases tabs have been opening. In my case, I'm working on the root. You can always see it just next to the home icon. On the left top corner, you'll see the home icon, then the connection. So you make sure that connection is what you've chosen here on the stored connection. Once that's done, you click on next. It will be quick, the execution. You'll see a message, execution completed successfully. You click on next, and here you select the database that you want to work with. You'll see the list of all the database that exists in that connection. In my case, I'm having class, that's the one we created earlier on, and we have employees, but we want to see the connection for the employees database. Yeah, so I'll just check on this box. You have a small box in front of it. You check it, it will be in blue once checked. Yeah, so I've checked the employees. Then I'll click next. Yeah, I'll get a message saying retrieval completed successfully, and then finished. So I'll click next. Now here is where you're supposed to make sure you check. For example, we have the first section saying import my SQL table object, and it contains 6 total objects, 6 selected. In the second import my SQL view object, it contains 2 total objects and 2 selected. Make sure on this where we're having 2 total objects and 2 selected, and check on the box just before import my SQL view object message. You can check on that box. Yeah. Then on the first way we're having six total object and 6 selected. You'll see a show filter area button to the end. You click on it. You'll have the expansion of the area. So I want you to see these few things. I don't know whether my cursor is still misbehaving. Maybe you can let me know. Can you see it? Is it visible? Or hello? Can you see my mouse? So I don't know what to do on that. Okay, maybe I'll restart the machine once again once we are done with the first session. So just follow. So if after expansion, you'll see the list of tables in the database that you chose, the employees. We have employees department, employees is the database, and then dot departments the table. So we have department table, department employee table, department manager table, employees table, salaries table, titles table. So those are the tables that are in the employees database. On the middle, we have signs such as greater than, which is the first icon. It's used to move a product from the first box to the second. And once a table is moved from the first table to the second, it means that it has been excluded. Yeah, you have removed it to be visible or to be included when creating the ER diagram. Yeah, let me just do that. I'll click on the department table, click on the greater than sign button, and now I have 6 total objects. You can read the message up there. We have 6 total objects and 5 selected because I moved one to the right. So I can just select on it, it's in blue and selected, and then move it back using the less sign button. Yeah, we have the greater than signs that are double. It's used to move all the product. If I click on them to the right, greater than both of them, it moves everything. So you're having 6 total object, 0 selected. You can take all them back using the less than sign, the double one. The same case apply. So this happens when you have a list, let's say, of tables. You can move them to the right and then select the one you want to move to the right one by one. Yeah, so that could be the case when you're using that double sign, double greater than and double less than sign. Yeah, so we're not going to interfere with anything. Make sure on the top after the checked box it's written 6 total objects and 6 selected, just as it was. So we just wanted to learn more just in case we encounter such a situation. Yeah, then you execute, you click on execute. Just wait for the execution to be done and you'll see a message saying operation yes. Yes, you will be excluded. Yes. Okay. Okay, yes, because the second one is the view, it's not the database. It's not the database itself. It's not the database. You have the view of the database and then we have the database itself. That's why it contains only 2. So we exclude it because we are going to, we don't need it in our output. Otherwise, the reason we are having 6 is because we have 6 tables in our database. You can have a database with more than 6. So you'll have, let's say, 10 objects, 10 selected. So it depends with the number of databases and tables. Yeah, so once the operation is completed successful, you click on next. Yeah, so we can see our summary here saying under the reverse engineering results, summary of reverse engineering object, 6 tables from the schema employee. It should be 6 because you have 6 tables. If you have you don't have 6, maybe probably have messed up somewhere. Once that's done, you click on finish. I hope you can see my screen well. So as you can see here, we are having a white screen, but when you scroll down, you'll see this. We have like a small window here showing us where our list is. So I'm just scrolling down so that I'm able to have the view of our data here. Yeah, so this is called the entity relationship diagram. You can see here the ER diagram, and before this you can see a video showing my SQL model. So it starts with the model to create the EER diagram. Yeah, so let's explore on our diagram. I want you to check on how the data looks like. We have these squares or rectangles, like we have lines that are straight. Some are completely plain from where it's pointing to the end. Some have these three-edged lines at the end, either line, single line. Some just have double lines. From one connection to another, we have just double lines. I'm just taking you through the lines that are connecting these tables. Yeah, and you see these are entities. So yeah, so it depends on the table. On that note, I'll take you to where we are having like a sidebar on the left. Yeah, apart from the window where we are having this white and blue like dots, we're showing you the location of where the diagram is. We have some icons. We have the first one is a hand. We have delete object. We have place a new layering. I hope you can see these icons. And the last one we are having are the lines. So I want us to go through these lines. One thing you'll note, my mouse might, yes, okay, in terms of the alignment of the tables or the lines linking, okay, these tables can be moved from one location. For example, if I drag this table, I can move it to any location. So probably you can let me know whether it's the alignment or what is it, what's the difference. Okay, just check on this. Are the lines connecting similar? For example, department employee and salaries. We have a plain line and it's three-edged and aligned to the department employee area. Yes? Department employee is not connected to salaries? Yes? Okay. Anybody else having just that? Probably. Okay, is anybody having the similar ER diagram as mine? Okay, that could probably affect when we come to extracting database, because if it's not the same database, okay, I'll try and reshare the database once again, and then you let me know maybe in tomorrow's class what will happen. Yeah, so let's run about the relationship. I don't know, I hope you can see where my mouse is. Whenever I put my mouse in either of the icon I'm talking about, the left, it's selected in blue. Like for example, now I'm on the lower icon on this long list of icons. So Chacha, I don't know, maybe you can confirm with me whether you can see the selected icon. I've said it's in blue. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so if you can see that, I'm going to start with where we're having 1 1. Before I talk about 1 1, that's why my mouse should remain where we're having 1 1 with dotted. Okay, let me just put my mouse there. Sorry, there. So I want to talk about relationship because this is where we get to understand the relationship in tables. Yeah. So as I mentioned, when you talk, yes, yes, okay, okay, okay. Can you okay, okay. Let me just ask you a question that Sandra was saying. Can you see any line linking salaries table and department employee? And employees, not employees, and salaries table to department table? Departments, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can. Okay. Okay, okay. I'll just try and reshare the database probably. Because the only thing can affect that is how the relationship is. When we talked about joining tables using our keys. So probably come back to that. So as I was saying, I was talking about the relationship. A relationship is an association between two or more entities. Remember, I've said that entities, these are the variables we are working on. When I talk about the salaries, that's an entity. Departments, that's an entity. And then when we talk about, for example, I'll go back to the employees table, that's an entity. But when you talk about employee number, birth date, first name, those are attributes. Yeah, but now the relationship you're talking about is between two or more entities. Yeah, that's why you can see they are linking up because they are in kind of related to each other. There are different types of relationships. Maybe probably this is not in our notes, you can just write it somewhere. You can write it somewhere. We have a relationship known as one-to-one relationship. Just in case I'm not audible, just let me know. So I've talked about one-to-one relationship. Yeah, so this is when you are the relationship we say is that when there is a single entity, let's say one entity is associated with another one entity, that's one to one, one entity to one. I'll give a prior example to that. For example, we can have a person and an ID. Yeah, one person can have just one ID. Yeah, ID, let's say the country ID, the identity, the national ID card. So one person can have one ID. Yeah, you can't be you and having many national ID. Neither can it be the other way around, that one ID is owned by many people. So it's one to one. One ID, one person. One person, one, let's say, passport. Yeah, one to one. That's one to one relationship. We have a second type of relationship. I hope you're writing this down. We have one to many. Just as the word says, we have one to many. So we are having a single entity is associated to more than one entities. One entity is associated to more than one entity. That's one to many. I'll just give a prior example as well to that. Yeah, so a customer can place many orders. Yeah, remember, there is, when you place an order, you are given an order number. So a customer can place many orders, but that one order cannot be placed by many people because each order has an order number. I hope that's clear as well. We have many to one, which is the opposite of one to many. Many to one relationship. Yeah, so here we have more than one entity associated with a single entity. Yeah, more than one entity associated with a single entity. Hello, Paul, can you hear me? Okay. So I'm on one to many relationship, and I'm saying in the one to many relationship, we are having many entities associated with a single entity. So I'll give an example to that. So we have a student can be in a single college. I'll use the institution we are at. For example, you are currently now, you are at Afric DSA. Yeah, you can't be at Afric DSA right now at the same time you are doing another course from a different institution. So we say that one student can be in a single college, yeah, but a student cannot study in many colleges at the same time. So it's many to one. So you can have many students. For example, we are 4 of you, so we can say many students can study in a single college, but a student cannot study in many colleges. I hope you got that. That's many to single. Many students. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, the reason I didn't want to use department is because of that's why I specified time. I used an extra information saying many students can study in a single college, let's say at a given period of time. Probably it will make sense. Hello, Chacha. Does that add up, whereby we are saying many students in one college in a oh, Okay. Okay. So then the last one we have is many to many relationship. Of course, it's where we're having more than one entity associated to more than one entity. So we have a many to many entities associated to many entities. So I'll use this one. A student can be assigned to many projects. A student can be assigned to many projects, and the vice versa can happen, that a project can be assigned to many students. So we're having students working on a number of projects, and the vice versa can happen, one project being done by a group of students. Many to many relationship. So you can say many students, many projects. Yeah. So those are the four relationship majorly used. And if you check on our, okay, let me take my icon back. So destroy this mouse. So we have the first one, that we are having a broken line, and then we are having 1-to-1 relationship. At the same time, there's a continuous line. Yeah, there's a continuous line that's showing 1-to-1 as well. Yeah, I hope you can see those two. So what's happening is that there are two types of when you talk about relationship, apart from the many to many, one to many, and so on, we can have a weak relationship. Yeah, a weak relationship between an entity and an entity. That's what is used to be described using dashed lines. Weak relationship. That's why we're having both of them. So that's on one. So we have talked about one-to-one relationship. We have one-to-many. Yes. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. I'll talk about something that's very important, majorly used in analysis. Apart from mentioning that we have an entity related to, for example, as a box or a square, as a rectangle, as I earlier mentioned, yeah, we can have an entity as a box like this. But one day, let's say one time in life, you may encounter a case whereby you have a box, but now it's not just one, it's having double line. Yeah, it's having double line. That means that that table, it's an entity. Yes, remember we have said when you talk about a department, it's an entity. But if in case you encounter a case where it's circled with two lines, that means it's a weak entity. on the term case where we are having a weak relationship, yeah, definitely the reason I'm explaining this part is because of the lines here. Of course, in our case, we can't see a weak relationship. It's not in our case, in our entity relationship diagram. For an example of a weak relationship, probably I would say if we encounter scenario whereby we are having two weak entities related, that's where I could say probably we are having a weak type of relationship. Okay, probably I should get an idea of what a weak entity looks like. When we talk about a bank, you can store data set about a bank, yeah, and with a bank you can also store data set about bank accounts, yeah. So if any case you encounter data about banks, that could be a strong entity. But when you talk about bank accounts, you're storing databases about bank accounts, those are weak entities. So a relationship probably between two weak entities, I think that's what will add up to a weak relationship. That's according to what I'm understanding from the weak relationship that I could have. Okay, I haven't come across a weak relationship in running ER diagrams. Of course, if it is, you're supposed to see it the way we are seeing lines here, but in our case we don't have. So probably you can also look into research more on that to understand the same case. The same case for the weak case where we are having 1 to n. We have dotted and we have blocked line. Yeah, we have dotted and block line, continuous line, sorry. So this is where we're having 1n, 1 to n. It means one to many relationships. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now? So let me do that. So hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I can't hear you properly. Let me just remove that. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Lucy, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me share my screen. I just realized I lost it. Is my screen visible?
Yes, visible.
Okay. So as I was saying, I was talking about the relationship. So here we have a broken line for 1 to n. 1 to n means 1 to many, and we also have a continuous for the same. So this means you're having a weak relationship here. Yeah, and you can see you have something saying non-identified relationship, and then here we have the relationship itself, whereby we're having such case. In our case, we have such, can't see this line here, but we're having a case whereby we're having a continuous line. Okay, I'm looking onto the line here and the 3 lines that connecting to the edge of the documents, the table, sorry. So we can say we have a number of them. We have n to m, many to many, many to many relationship. Okay, let me see whether we have one. We don't actually have a many to many relationship. It should be this way with the 3 lines and connected the same to the other table. Yeah, so there isn't any. And lastly, we have the 1 to many as well, but this says that place a relationship using the existing. Okay, this is just a tab for editing the relationship. For example, if you feel there's a relationship between a table, you can go ahead and edit. The same way we are able to move one table from one area to another, the relationship is maintained, yes, yeah, but at the same time you can also edit the relationship using the editor here. Yeah, so before you edit a relationship, of course you need to understand your database. So you know, for example, you know there's a relationship between employees and titles. Yeah, so each employee has a title, of course, is probably okay, let me just use an example here. We're having employees and titles. One employee can have many titles. For example, you can be the department manager, at the same time you are the head of the department manager, the department's managers. So one employee can have a number of titles, but the other way around can't happen. Like one title can't be to many employees unless you have an employee who is the senior and the assistants, maybe something like that. That's on the relationship part of it. And you have seen you can edit the relationship as long as you understand the data set itself. You can go ahead and do that. Any question about the ER diagram?
Sorry, Lucy, I'm
Yes.
understanding something. So you're saying, for example, the title and the employees table, with the 3, like those tributaries, like
Yes.
3 heads,
Mm-hmm.
and the other side is 2 horizontal lines. What does that mean?
These 2 horizontal lines, I don't think they are any much related, because if you talk about many to many, it should be 3 lines both sides, not straight lines. They should be attached to, like the 3 lines here. That's according to the this is what's guiding us, because it can be different for a different database or for a different type of what do you call it, relationship program that you're using. But in our case here, we're checking on the 3 lines. We're having 3 lines, but we don't have the same. If we had the same, it could be many to many, but in our case it's a continuous line, yes, but with the 3 lines. So we can say this is a 1 to many relationship. Yeah.
Also, then in this case, for example, what you're saying was you can have an employee with many titles,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then, for example, like from another table of mine, the salaries to employees. So would you say one employee has many salaries, or
Yeah.
because mine,
This
the 3 lines
yes.
goes to salary.
Yes. I can explain on that. For example, salaries mainly offered monthly, and records are kept monthly. So you'll have monthly records of salaries of one person. So it's a number of them.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Sorry. And the ones that are connect, for example, if I click on my employees table on my diagram, it highlights the employee titles table, salary employees, department manager table, then to manager and department employee.
Wait. So, just a little bit, please.
Yes.
Lucy.
Yes.
Maybe some more clarity on the relationship between the tables. When we, for example, we talk about the salaries table, maybe with the employees table, are you basically talking about that an employee can have many salaries?
Okay,
or are we talking?
Yes, I've explained on that. I've said salaries. You realize even this database, you'll have entry of one person, a number of payments. I've given an example that salary is majorly offered monthly. So after every month, you'll have a record entry of salaries of one single person. So you'll have a number of records of salaries, and so that's why we're saying an employee can have a number of salaries entries from the salaries table.
My question again on the same. Now, there are three keys that we use: primary, foreign,
yes,
and the unique key, right? So in this case, are we actually trying to relate or join these tables using keys, or are we joining these tables using what the two tables can offer? Because if, for example, we are talking about salaries and employees, in this case, for example, we have the employee number, which is an integer form.
Yes.
Or let me say format. That to me, I feel it's the one that is joining the salaries, because also in salaries we have the employee number, right?
Of course, you'll see that when you place your mouse in either of the relationship, you'll see the selected column is the column linking both of them. For example, if I put my mouse here, you can see we're having employee and employee. Yeah. So of course these tables have a common column. We mentioned also this in our previous Tableau class, whereby we said for tables to be related, of course they have a common column. That's what we talked about in the Tableau class. At the same time, what I've just explained about the relationship between one table to another is a core part that covers the SQL part. Yeah. So it could be in terms of the column related, but think of the lines involved. Why don't they have just one line, a similar line of connection, and why do we have a list of this relationship involved? What we are having here: 1 to 1, 1 to n, 1 to 1, 1 to n, and so on. Okay, Chacha, that's on to you.
Let me, before that,
yes,
before you continue, it's fine, because I'm here actually to be able to understand.
Okay.
I would like to know, in a case where an employee can be having many salaries or many
Chacha, I think the way I understood from what you're saying, like now you'd have salary for January, for February, for March, for April, so on. That's how I understood. No?
That's true. For example, when I talk about a database is storing data. So if you're storing salaries of, let's say, you, Chacha, will have salaries that were offered to you during the month of January, the month of February, the month of March, and so on. You will see the same in this database when you come into maybe viewing the data. Yeah, you'll see the same, that one person can have at least entries of salaries because it's at different months, or they use years. This was the salary offered during the month, the year of 2020, 2021, different depending on the company. But of course, that record is stored. That's why we have the column for salaries. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Lucy, sorry. So I was asking.
Yeah, I understand your question. Let me just try to let you know whether it's that's what you're asking. When I press, for example, my mouse in this relationship between salary and department employee, the same continues to department. Like we have one line when you put a mouse, you're seeing a link between 3 tables also. Is that what you're asking, Sandra?
Yes. Like when I click on my employees, it highlights to 1, 2, 3, 4 other tables.
Okay. So I'll use the example of let's say what Chacha has said about the primary key. No, I won't use primary key. Let's talk about a common column. Yeah, let's talk about a common column. For example, this is what we're going to be doing in the next few classes. For example, I want to extract data. From department, and then that's the department employee table. At the same time, I want to extract data from the salaries table. Yeah, we'll talk about joins later, but just to give you a prior understanding on this, for me to extract data from these 2 tables, salaries and department employee, they don't have a common column. Yeah, they are not related in any way, but through the department table, which is linking down here, you can be able to extract data from the 3 tables, or from salaries and department employee, by the use of department. I think I'll come back to this ER diagram once we are able to go through the joins, so that probably it will be easier to understand, but that's the case. Hello, can you hear me, Sandra?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. So that's on the ER diagram. Let me just check on what we're supposed to cover today. Just in case you have a question, let me know. So we went through the relationship. Okay, gosh, we have a lot. So we've managed to have the view. In most cases, when you're asked to come up with the ER diagram, the question will be generate the structure of the database, the ER diagram. The question comes in terms of a structure, because if you won't get a direct question that you need a ER diagram, but by the view of the word structure, it takes you back to the ER diagram. So I've said we'll come back to that to understand those lines connecting, once we're able to understand what is a join and what are we looking for when using joins. So we have a number of SQL clauses that we're going to be doing. Yeah, so we have SQL clause, we have group by clause. Group by clause, it groups rows that are that shares a property, so that the aggregate function can be applied to each group. So we are grouping variables, in this case groups rows that share a property that can so that an aggregate function can be ran to them. Yeah, in most cases you will have group by and having. They can work independently, but you can experience a case whereby you having both of them. Yeah, and anytime you have group by and having, of course I'll explain why we have having, because some times you realize someone choose to use where. Where is a clause that used to specify, specify where the data is literally coming from. The same for having. So it select among the group defined by group by. Then you give a condition to that. We have the order by clause. It specify, okay, I've written the wrong thing. We have having clause. It select among the groups defined by the group by clause. We have the order by clause. It specify an order in which to return the row, whether in ascending, in descending, or any other type of order. So then we have we're going to include this with aggregate function necessary majorly used. We have the count, returns the number of rows that matches a specific criteria. So we're going to be working with conditions. Other aggregate function we have are min for minimum, max for maximum. We have sum. We have avg for average. We have others such as we have some counts, and so on. So those are the aggregate function we're going to be working with. So we're just going to back to where our SQL is. On the top you will see we are under ER diagram. We have my SQL model, then we have the root. In my case, of course, maybe probably you're having a local instance, so you're just to click on the first part where we were having our SQL queries, and we want to execute a number of commands to extract data from our database. So we're going to be using the mentioned SQL clauses, of course involving the where clause as well, which we earlier used. I hope it was clear on how to use the where clause as well. So we're going to be using the same. So to start with, we're going to start with the count function. We have said that the count function returns the number of rows that matches a specific criteria. So, and of course, just from the basic understanding, we are counting. For example, if we talk about the names, we are counting the names, the entries that are involved. You can count them just as the way they are, or you can just count also distinct. We're going to see the use of the function distinct, meaning unique. If you don't want duplicate names, you want to see specific names, and so on. But you can just start with the common function count using the select. So we're going to be using select statement. So we said select statement is used to extract. So we have select is the keyword, and then we're going to be selecting, for example, first name. Okay, probably you might be wondering, why am I talking about first name? I don't know whether it exists. So just have an expansion on employees database. We have just a drop down beside it. You just expand it, and then we have under tables, you expand on that. So these are the tables in the employees department. We have departments table, department employee, department manager, employees table, salaries table, and entitles table. So how do we see the columns that are in there? You can click on it, and then down here on the lower part of that section, you'll see the table name, departments, and the columns. So in the first department, you have department number and department name. The other way is to use the select all, so you have the whole output. For example, we want to extract names. These are details about employees, so probably they are under employees table. So I'll click on employees, and here you can see we have employee number, birth date, first name, last name, gender, and hire date. So I'm selecting from employees table in the employees database. So I've typed select, sorry for that. So I've typed select, and one I want to select is first name. First, make sure you type it just the way it is in the column area, first underscore name. We talked about the underscore earlier on, so we have first underscore name, add a comma. That's the first column you're going to be having. Yeah, then we have count. The reason we have first name and count first name, as I'm going to be showing you. So count, I'll open brackets and type again first name, first underscore name. This is what I'm looking for. So I'll have a column listing first names of all employees, then another column of the first name but now counting. For example, if you have Jane, how many Janes are in this database? Yeah, you can count first name, departments, you can count titles and so on. If you want to know how many for example, other titles, how many people, or how many, for example, department managers are there. Yeah, that's on title. Yeah, how many departments are there? You can go ahead and count them. So you're counting first name as a column. I'll add something later on, and then I'll type from where am I extracting this data from. So I just have two columns. Yeah, from employees table. Just as you can see, we have in first name and they are from employees table. So I'll have employees. You realize you have a pop-up. The pop-up SCMA, that's for schema. Yeah, then we have TBL, that's for table, and anytime you type a keyword, it will show you it's a keyword by the key WD, if I'm not wrong. We're going to be looking to that. So we are looking on the employees table, not department, and not a schema. Yeah, so before we add more conditions, probably we can run that. You can just add semicolon, sorry, and run that command. Remember, because we are running one line at a time, we're going to be executing using the second option. So I'm seeing I'm having an error. Hide. Okay, I'm having an error, and the error is in aggregate query in aggregated query without group by. In most cases, when you use aggregate function, you'll be required to use a group by. When I talk about aggregate, we have count, as we have now, we have sum, we have average, minimum, maximum. Anytime you use an aggregate, you'll be required to use the function group by. Yeah, reason being, we say group by, it groups rows that share a property so that the aggregate function can be applied to each group. Okay, so I just remove the semicolon that I already added and continue with writing the command. So I'll add group by function, of course. We have group by function as a keyword, and then I'm grouping according to. You must group by a column that exists. For example, you can see we have employee number, birth date, we have gender. You can't group by those unless you include them here. And in most cases, it's you may get an error. Just in case, you can use the aggregated column. So we're having first name, first underscore name. Yeah, that's our group by function. We can go ahead and add a semicolon, otherwise you can add the order by. So I run that. It's a success, but of course, if you want your data to be ordered in a certain way, you can go ahead and use the order by function. On that note, this is the output I'm having. I'm having first name, I'm having the count of first name. So if we talk about George, we have 253 of them in this company. If we talk about Israel, we have 228 of them. So I want us to add something. Apart from first name, the column name for the count of first name is count into bracket first name. So you may ask, can we change the name? Because if you save this document, you don't want to save it as count first name. Yeah, you want it to give it a name itself, not as a function. Yeah, so after typing count first name, I'll put my mouse there and use the function as. Yeah, it's as keyword that is used, allows you to give a new name to the column, for example count. Other than it being count into bracket first name, it will be, let's say, name count. So I'll just give it a name, name underscore count. So the changes I've made is that I've given the count first name column so that it doesn't exist as count into bracket first name. I've used the as function and given it a name, and the name is name count. So here when I run this command, what I should see is name count, name underscore count, not as it is right now. So let me run that. Yeah, so you can see now we have first name and the column name is name count. So anytime you create a new name, you can always give it you create a new column, you can always give it a new name using the as function, as we're going to be doing in the next steps as well. Is anybody having a question? Hello? Let me just pause. Kevin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I have a question.
Okay.
So does this name count, name underscore count, become a temporary name?
Column name. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course we said we can beautify our function. Last time I checked, it refused. Let's see. Yes, we have beautified our function. Of course we are selecting the column and then using this beautify icon here, this, I don't know, brush like or broom like icon. I hope you can see my mouse is highlighted in blue right now. It's called beautify. Reformat the SQL script. That's what I've clicked to get what I'm having right now. So I'm going to give out an assignment. Yeah, you can do it, probably check on you can send it to me tomorrow, maybe probably before class, so that just there is any question that will be encountered, I'm going to share it here. So here is the first question. I hope you can hear me. I've just ran one aggregate function. I believe it's okay. We're going to be doing more on the same tomorrow. So you're supposed to extract data. When I talked about extract, it takes you back to select. So we said select is used to extract. So we are extracting data sets. So you can extract data showing the sum of salary, sum of salary, the minimum salary as well, the average salary, and then you are supposed to count the titles from the titles table and the departments in this company dataset that we are using. I hope you wrote that down. They are just simple extraction just in case you can encounter an error. Anytime you encounter the aggregate query, probably you haven't used group by after the aggregate question that's given, so you make sure you have group by somewhere. You can go ahead, of course, and use order by. And then tomorrow we are going to learn how to use having and where clause, because they are common names that are used to specify where you're having your data is extracting from, and they are used at different points of an SQL query. Yeah, so unless you're having a question, that will be it for today. Chacha?
Mine is not a question.
Yes.
The other part of the question was it counting the? I was trying to write the question. So we said is extracting the data showing the sum of the salary, the minimum salary, the average salary, and count the titles and the, is it the departments or something?
Departments, yes.
Or something.
Yeah, let me check on something, the specific name. Write department name. It's the best to specify, to just be specific. Department names. Yeah. So unless anybody else is having a question, that's it for today. Have a nice evening and good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.